Hi everyone, I'm Hannah, the museum educator here at the Transcona Museum. Welcome to the third day of Craft With Us Railway Week. Today we will be making a railway lantern. You can find these railway lanterns actually around Transcona on different buildings throughout. There's one on the museum here, there's one on the Legion, ABC Power Tools. They're kind of scattered around downtown Transcona, so keep an eye out for those if you're interested. They're also a part of our Transcona Quest, so if you adults are looking for something to do, um, take a scavenger hunt around Transcona just for adults. All right, so for this craft, what you're going to need is a plastic cup, some kind of string, yarn. I'm using this like beading string, but whatever you have. You're going to need black paint and a paintbrush. A surface to paint on, like paper towel or a tablecloth, whatever you usually paint on. Then you're going to need 4 different colors of tissue paper. You're going to need red tissue paper, white tissue paper, green tissue paper, and orange tissue paper. You're also going to need a sheet of black construction paper and something that you can trace circles with, one bigger one and one smaller one. And lastly, glue and scissors. So that's a lot of stuff, but it'll all make sense once we start making the craft. For the tissue paper, you only need 1 sheet of each. You don't even really need a full sheet, so if you have some scraps lying around, that'll work just fine as well. All right, so we are going to start this craft by painting our plastic cups black. It usually takes about 1 to 2 coats, depending on how uh, dark your black paint is, and also some of the plastic cups kind of differ in how they feel around the outside, and that affects how the paint goes on them. So around 1 to 2 coats, depending on the cup you have. So I have my cup painted here. So we'll start with that. So once you have your cup painted black, the next thing you're going to do is take your tissue paper sheets and cut out rectangles of each color and just draw a circle onto each of them. I traced, I believe I traced, oh, this is what I traced to get the circle. I just traced this circle here, but you can use anything you have. So I have the circles traced on each piece of tissue paper. So I will just then cut those out. These railway lanterns were and are used to communicate different signals when operating and directing trains. So, and they communicated signals between the trains, stations, the workers, because it's very hard to hear anything when you're around a train or in a busy train yard. So lights were the best and safest way to make sure that um, all of the messages were getting through. The circles don't need to be perfect because we're going to be covering them with parts of the black tissue, or sorry, the black construction paper, but here's my first circle of the green tissue paper. So these lanterns were really just a way to keep everyone and everything safe. And Today we're going to be talking a bit about railway safety because especially living in Transcona where there's a ton of train tracks, train crossings, even like train yards, it's important to know some basic rules to follow and what to do in certain situations. Okay, so I have my white tissue paper cut out now. So because of their size, trains appear to be moving much farther away and traveling much slower than they actually are. So don't be fooled by that. Don't think you can quickly walk, run, drive across a track when you see a train coming. If you see a train coming, and especially if lights are going off, do not cross. Because of their size, it's very deceiving how far away and how fast they're actually going. So never take the risk. Now just doing my last sheet of tissue paper. Also, trains can't stop quickly. They're not like cars or other automobiles. The average train needs about 2 kilometers to stop. And obviously they're very heavy, long. It's not easy. So once again, don't ever try to speed past a train because they cannot stop for you. All right. So we have our 4 tissue paper circles cut out. Now we'll move on to making the black kind of outlines of the tissue paper with black construction paper. So I'm just going to angle down here. All right. So we're going to want something larger to trace the outer circle. So I'm just going to use the bigger end of the cup. So you're going to need a pencil or a pen, marker. And you're going to need to make 4 of these big circles. All right. So now that you've traced 4 bigger circles, in between each circle, you're going to draw a smaller circle so then you can cut it out and have this outer edge. So I'm going to use the bottom of this string. All right. So now just cut out each circle, the bigger circles. Make sure you don't cut between the bigger circle and the little circle. So another safety tip and general tip is to never trespass into train yards or onto train tracks. Taking shortcuts across tracks or being on railway property is illegal. So do not do it because trespassers can be seriously injured, or you can even be fined. Um, just, it's not safe. Don't consider it. On Old Regent, there used to be parking in the middle of Regent Avenue, and they called it the Devil's Strip because it caused a lot of accidents because people were pulling out into traffic basically from the middle parking spots. And the Devil's Strip refers to the space in between two passing trains because it was so dangerous, not even the devil would dare to go in between the two moving trains. So after you've cut out all of your circles and you have your smaller outlines in them, I my what I do to cut out the smaller circle is just fold it in half, snip in the middle, and then you have a space to kind of get your scissors in to start cutting around the smaller circle. Be careful not to cut through the whole piece of paper. If it happens, that's okay. Just quickly redo it. All right. So here we have our first circle. And basically we're gonna end up doing is putting the tissue paper, gluing the tissue paper to the back of it, and those are gonna be our lights, which we're gonna put on the cup. So I'll just do the other three. So again, just folding it in half, snipping the middle, so then you can get your scissors in to cut around your smaller penciled in circle. All right, so there we go. With the very exciting news that was announced by the government the other day, we will be able to open, and we'll be opening on Monday, July 19th. So our lives will still continue every day throughout the summer, but we will eventually, not right away, but eventually have in-person crafting. So if you're interested in that, we would love to have you. Keep an eye out on our social media to keep updated, and when we decide to start in-person crafting, you'll know and you can book a spot because there will be limited space just so we can maintain social distancing. And you have to be fully if you're over the age of 12, you have to be fully vaccinated to enter the museum. And if you're under the age of 12, you have to be accompanied by a fully vaccinated member of your household. All right, so here we have all of our circles. So I'll just get this garbage out of the way. All right. So what we're gonna do is take our glue, and you can use this, put the glue on the side of the construction paper that has pencil lines, just so that the side without pencil lines will be the one facing outward. So you're just going to kind of spread. I would suggest liquid glue. Oh, glue. There we go. Liquid glue is probably the best, just so you can adjust the tissue paper if you need it and doesn't dry right away. So I'm going to start with the red. So I put glue around the inner circle on the side that the pencil lines are on. And I'm just going to stick the tissue paper right on top of there. You can kind of spread the glue a bit on top of the tissue paper just so that it really sticks on there. And there's our first light. If the glue comes through, it's okay, it'll dry. Or you can just tap it with some paper towel or Kleenex. All right, so we'll let that dry and we'll move on to the next one. I'll do the green next. And if you don't have these colors of tissue paper, that's perfectly fine too. You can use whatever colors you want for the lights. But these are the ones that are usually used in railway lanterns. Some railway lanterns have blue lights as well, so you could use blue tissue paper if you had any. Or you can even use colored paper. All right, so I'll let this one dry. Doing the white next. All right. And last, another railway safety tip is for when you're crossing tracks, remember to cross tracks only at designated pedestrian or roadway crossings and obey all warning signs or signals posted there. All right, so here we have all of our lights. Here we go. So now we are going to glue them to the cup. So depending on how big you did your circles, they might overlap a bit, but that's okay. And you can do them in any order you'd like. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just gonna, once again, use the glue. Make sure you glue the side that you already put the glue on, just so you're not having the wet side facing out. All right, so here we have our first light. Now our second, I'm gonna overlap them because my circles are a bit bigger. There's the second light. That one's already got quite a bit of glue around the edge, so I'm just gonna stick that on. The third light. Excuse me. And the fourth. Oops. If the tissue paper just comes up like mine just did, just glue it back down. All right, so here we have our railway lantern. Mine overlap a bit, but that's all right. These other ones don't overlap as much, so however big you did your circles is fine. But we have all of our different colors to have the different warning signals or message signals for trains. So the last thing we're going to do is make the handle for the railway lantern because you have to carry it around. So very carefully poke a hole at the top of the cup, or sorry, I guess the bottom of the cup, um, with scissors or whatever you have, but just be very careful not to cut yourself or anything. And then you're going to take your string or yarn and kind of loop it through. So make sure your hole is big enough for the string to get through. So fold the string in half and go in with a little loop already existing and push that through the hole. You might need to kind of grab something to pull it through. I'm just going to use the scissors and try and grab the string. There we go. There, I have to make the hole a little bit bigger just to get the string through because it's thicker. Sorry about this. Just having a struggle in a bit. Get the string through. If you need to pull it through just with one string like I just had to do, and then push the same end of the string back through so you have your loop. Just depends on how big your hole is and how thick the string is. So here we go. Um, and then once you have your loop to however, whatever size you want it, pull it through. There we go. So this is the size I want it, well, this big. So then you're just gonna tie a knot into the string, making sure it goes down all the way to the hole, just so it has, it doesn't come through the hole. All right, so there we go. I got my loop, and we're just going to cut off the excess string that's hanging out the bottom. Oops. All right, so there we have it, our railway lantern. The glue is going to take a bit to dry, especially if you use liquid glue, so just let it sit for a bit. But here we have our railway lantern. So I hope you enjoyed this last day of Railway Week. Join us next week on Monday for our first day of Sports Week. We will be making a paper football on Monday, and on Wednesday we'll be making a hockey stick magnet, and on Friday we'll be making a baseball necklace out of a washer. So if you're interested in crafting along during the live, you can purchase craft kits online at transconamuseum.mb.ca with all of the supplies for Sports Week for $5. You can order them there for pickup at the museum, or since we're going to be open next week, you can just stop by and we have some ready. So feel free to pick up your craft kits for Sports Week. I hope you enjoyed Railway Week. Thanks for crafting along and hope to see you next week.